to participate in this. We are going to become more centered and come into the room because Wilhelm, they have so much to give us today and they want all of us to be present and they will reveal all of it. Big breath in. Hold it for a bit. Now let it go very slowly. Now another big breath. Let it go very slowly. Now another big breath, but also place your hand on your navel. You're going to be grounded. You're going to ground into this chakra. Big breath. As you let the breath out slowly, you are connecting to yourself. What you will hear will be for you. Again, we are so pleased you are here. And we've said every single time, we have waited for you your entire lives. We know you don't believe that, you have trouble with that. And the belief that each of you has lacked is why we are doing these. The belief is what we want to bring about, and we went to such lengths to bring it about today. And Roger's a little exhausted with this because he knew what we were doing, and we've been at it for quite a while now. First of all, we're going to begin with what you're seeing on the screen. We told you so long ago that we gave you everything in 2012. Roger couldn't accept that. He said, no, that couldn't have happened. No, I could not have received that. And he did that forever, and we played it out. We even had him talk to other people about it. Oh, he knows what it is, but he's not going to say it yet. See, because he wants you all to know that you have been not believing yourselves. You've not trusted in yourselves. And as we've said, you are needed now. That's why we've done this. That's why we've gone to all of this work to bring you here so you will understand it. And so what we have on the screen is what we said we gave you. We gave you everything you needed to know to live a really successful human physical experience. And we said we're going to call it your life operating instructions. Roger said, no, that couldn't be true. Nothing like that, as we said to you before, he said it very vehemently, that nothing that came through him could possibly be that worthy, could possibly have that value. And each of you have done that. That's why we brought you here. That's why we attracted you here. We have said things along the way. We've attracted you in different ways. You've come into this experience in different ways, but we've done that because we knew that your higher self would hear us so that they could capture your attention, you see. That's what you're always doing, listening to your guidance. And it has been challenging for you because this is a big one. We've told you you're here at a time that you have never experienced before, and you accepted a role that was huge. That's why some of you are feeling really lost and afraid. And we know that, which is why we had to take Roger through what we did last night. We took him through this process because we wanted him to be here today to be able to say to you all, I'm a believer. You see, because that's what none of you aren't doing that. And it's challenging. Unless you understand this, it becomes challenging. But you each came to evolve and expand, and all of the experiences you're moving through now are causing that to happen. And you just figure it out later. That's why we said we've been waiting for you your entire lives. And you're going to hear things today that will make that clear. Because see, some people are seeing this, hearing this, and might be, and are here, we believe, who have never even been in contact with us, who didn't know where they were going or why they were here. But you're going to hear that, and you'll be the best examples that we could give, that you will all know that you've never been in an accidental place. Your life is not an accident. You are not an accident. Nothing about you was wrong. You're figuring that out now, and you picked a great day to do it. We just showed this to Roger today because we planned this, and we then showed him, oh, this is a great astrological day for you because you're this double Scorpio, and the energies of your planet right now are moving in a way that his energy can access this to help more of you. That's what you each are doing. We've told you that this particular period, this restructuring that you're going through, is to change your entire lives and your world. You are the ones who came to do this. You came to usher in a new world. And the way that you're doing is by owning who you are. Now, we took a few other liberties so that we wanted you to understand what happened. Several days ago, we had Roger record a video. We told him to do this. We told him even how to go about and what to say. And we called it, we were all brainwashed. We were all brainwashed, because you are. Everyone, as a human, you come into the world so that you can evolve. That's all. And in order to do that, you forget stuff. You forget who you are. And that's purposeful. It had to be that way. When we know that these things are really challenging. And so we're going to break down a few more things today, because we've told you things along the way as we've been doing these talks. We've given you things that we are now going to start to come together to cause you to believe a bit more in who you are. We began a long time ago with Roger's grandmother. If you haven't been here before, you won't remember that, but we're going to show you the example again. We said that it was his grandmother that was controlling the thermostat. If you remember that, Roger had this experience where his thermostat, he would think about something and think, it's too warm now, please, I want the thermostat on. He would get up to go over and turn it, and it would just magically come on. Then it would be, oh no, it's too cold now, or it's too hot, whatever it is. And so now please change that. And then it would just magically do it. It would just turn on. And it kept happening to such a degree that he was freaking out. He was yelling at it because, why is this happening? And he questioned, who is doing this? Why is this? Do I have that kind? Could I have changed the thermostat? Do I have that power? And his grandmother said, yes, we've been telling you that. We're saying that because each of you have ancestral connections that you're working with now, that you came into this life to use whatever they have given you to expand and evolve and create more and add that to your world. That's how evolution works. We mentioned last time that we wanted, if we had a chart that would make more sense for a lot of you, and we're starting to picture it now. We're going to give Roger a little bit more because we do want him to chart it. We said, first of all, think about the earth, think about a tree. Let's just make it a tree. That might be easier for you to imagine. And if you have a tree, you know how that happens. You plant seeds in the earth, and then over time you water it, you add things to it, and the tree starts to grow. It grows really large. Unless you do something to it, it will continue to grow. You are the seeds of the tree, and the tree is the universe, you see? And you came into the earth to fertilize that tree so that it would grow. And the way that that occurs is for you to let go of your restrictions and limitations and own who you are. And some of you don't believe that. This is why we've been working so hard at this, because this is the time when your world is changing to such a degree that you are needed. And you know that. See, because the shift that is happening, as we've said, it's a paradigm shift, where all the ones who said, we need to hold on to everything and take it all from you. And you came in and you thought, well, wait a minute. No, I think that we're all each supposed to have some. I think that we're supposed to be more equal. I think that we're supposed to have more equality. That's who you are. But you've had challenges getting there because you couldn't own your beliefs. We did something else this last week. We had Roger post something that said, you will never find another person exactly like you. Never. You're not going to find them. And we did that because we wanted you to understand that you are unique. We've said over and over again, you are unique and the same. And we really want you to get this because this has been the most challenging thing each of you have had in your own personal experience. Each of you have done this because you think, I'm not here for any good reason and I don't know what's going on. And why is it so hard now? Why has this past period been so challenging for me? Because you've been holding back, that's all. And we understand that's why we keep doing this. And we're going to do more. And again, we started this years ago. We started more than 70 years ago, you see, to get you to here today so that you could hear this and understand. We began with the future there because you're going to see a couple of things on the screen, but the future one is what we want you to pay attention to because we gave you that in 2012. Because see, all of 2012, all the messages that we said we had given Roger was all you ever needed to know. Your life operating instructions, but that seems too unbelievable. You couldn't completely understand that. We're not saying that you would have worked through it because that's the next step of our plan, you see, which we will tell you next week. Because we have this all laid out. We've been planning it for a long time because we're not going to leave you alone. We've always said we will take your hand and take you to where you're supposed to go because you're evolving and you're each becoming these magnificent beings because you are needed now. You just didn't understand how you're getting there. So the next thing we did, we had Roger created a video that said all your beliefs are correct. We need you to understand that because that's what's happening in your world right now. You each have the trouble owning and accepting your beliefs because you're afraid of what others may think of you or how you might be judged or what. And that's the conflict that you see going on in your world because you're each trying to prove yourselves right. And you are right, you see. You just haven't figured out how you were supposed to go about doing it. You each were tasked with a goal when you came into the earth, when you were born, each of you. And it's different for each, but in here, where you are with this group, it's the same. You came to evolve and expand, and your awareness of that has caused things to be a little challenging for you. Don't worry, we gave you everything, as we said in your life operating instructions. And we're going to have such a great time moving through that one. Because this is what happened last night. We're going to explain this, why we said that we're going to shock a few more of you into your self-belief. We just use Roger to do this, you see, because he's been avoiding, as we said, looking at this information because he's spent eons doubting his ability, as you have. But this is the time where you're going to come into it and you're going to own it. And it's going to be so magnificent. So last night we had him go and look at some of the things because we wanted to find what to put on the screen today. And then as he sat there he was going through each message and he just kept freaking out. He just kept, no, this couldn't be happening. Why didn't I see this? How did I not know that this was in my possession? That's what we are saying to each of you. We have done this whole orchestration this entire time because you have doubted yourself. You didn't believe yourself. You didn't understand your talent. And you've been holding back. And you've been afraid. And you've doubted it all. And you thought you made mistakes, and you did not do that. You took on a role in this lifetime where you were going to move through all these restrictions and limitations so that you could usher in a new world, but also you're cleaning up your past. Your past is that of your ancestors, of your world. Each of you here are now creating a restructuring, and you have to figure out a way to do that. And you're going to fight about a lot of things, which is what's going on. And it's getting worse. We told you it was going to be more. That's why we wanted to do these. They're going to be more because you have to figure out a way that you can own your unique self and who you are and honor that, and then give that information back to the world in a manner that you know is going to be helpful. That's why we had Roger do that video, because it was uncomfortable for him. He had to acknowledge his beliefs and what he thought was going on. It's like, oh, wait a minute, people are going to judge me. They didn't. That's the other thing you find out. So many of the fears that you've been holding on to are meaningless. They have nothing to do with who you are. But you use them, as we said. You have to use them. So we have given Roger techniques over the years. This is how some of you who have worked with him know that he has given you exercises and processes. We gave them all to him. We gave them all of them. That's why we gave him this program that we're so excited about, where we're going to take all of you. And that's your life operating instructions. So it's always been there. You're each going to find that you have to find a way to own who you are and why you came into the world. So now we're going to go back and we're going to talk about it, because we're going to talk about the thing that most of you, and so many in your world, have used to cause more division now. And this restructuring is taking a little bit longer. Well, it would, because it's a huge one. It's a big one. You've not done this before. We're going to talk about the pandemic and your vaccines and all of that, okay? Because that's the thing that each of you have trouble with understanding, because you don't get your evolutionary journey. Your evolutionary journey is different than any other soul on the planet. There's no one like you. You're doing something different, and that's what you're meant to own. And each of you, as you own that, you bring something that's valuable into the world. Each of you, as you become willing to do that. We told you that, we don't believe that he allowed this to come through. We'll start back. We told you about Roger's grandmother. He found this affinity with her. She was a devout Christian Scientist. She knew that you could heal anything with your mind, and you all can. You can. That is the ability that you have. You may not have developed it, but you do hold that ability. Every soul does. Everyone has that ability, but you may be moving through something different in this lifetime where you have to deal with some physical ailments. You wanted to have a physical experience. You only use your body in this life as a way to evolve spiritually. That's the only reason you're here. We told you that last time. We said that you're fighting about all this stuff, and it doesn't really matter, because all you're doing is using them to expand spiritually, you see. That's all that's occurring. So when Roger was born, he was born into a family where he had 3 brothers. We want to give you this because some of you will relate to this and you'll understand it. He has 3 brothers, and they're completely different than he is. And he's like, why am I like this? Why is this me? And then he started discovering other things as he moved through his life. There were things that happened at his birth that were quite different than most people. And so due to that, he had to move through a series of physical ailments throughout his life. Not his brothers, just Roger. He's like, why me? And then we told him, which he resisted for a while, but he's okay with it now. We told him, you came to marry science, spirituality, and human development. That's what you chose this time. We're saying that. We want you to understand. You've chosen different things at different times in your incarnations. We know that that's hard for a lot that you haven't been here before, but you've always existed. You're eternal beings, and you're just filling out another portion of yourself this time, and you're using these different elements to do that. And so Roger had physical things that he had to work through. And so, but then he started figuring it out, and then he started healing those things. He started healing them with the power of his mind. He figured out all the different modalities that one could use to do that. He meditated, he used crystals, he did absolutely everything. He went through a time where he was so connected to his diet that he just changed everything. He was diagnosed with something that was deadly in 1990, and he changed it. He knew he could do that. But see, he knew that because his grandmother told him. She alerted him, because he would look at her, you see, and think, oh, you can do this. You can heal everything. Why can't I do that? And she said, you work to the level of your understanding. Your understanding means that you know, and you're really secure in who you are, in your spirit, and all of that. But not everyone has done that. Not everyone can do that. And we told you, and now this will kind of make sense, when your COVID came about, and then you developed a vaccine, Roger decided, I'm going to get that. And then he said, I'm getting it not because I'm afraid, because he knew he had the ability, you see, that he would never have to come down with anything. But he also understood that other people didn't have that. And he knew that part of his time here was to be more concerned about others than himself. There's a change that's going on in your world where much of that is occurring, where you're shifting from this old paradigm of only thinking about what was right for you and then including more. That's how your world evolves, because you always learn that you're better when you're united, when you're together, but you only do it in small increments in every civilization that you have. And if you were to go back and study your civilizations, all of this wouldn't be so mysterious to you. You'll see when you came in, when humans come into the earth, they start to interact. Now, because of those interactions, you cause different physical things to occur. In the very beginning of your civilizations, you didn't have any diseases per se, but then they started coming. As you started interacting, all of them started coming. You can go back and read your historical works in your Bible or whatever. You can see all of that. It's always been there. But then what happens is you figure out, why am I having this? What am I supposed to do with it? And it's individual. You're never going to do this the same. When Roger started to figure this out, we're going to give you this example. Some of you may try it, but it's up to you. But when he started to discover all of this, he started making it a wonderful spiritual game. You see, he would go, he does it still to this day. He's been doing it for years. He goes to the doctor, he has a blood work done, and then he'll look at everything. They'll give him the results, and he'll look at him, they'll measure him, they'll say, what's off? What's different? What's not right? And he said, okay, so what's going on with me spiritually that I'm not able to do this? He's done this for years. He didn't want to talk about it because he thought maybe people would have him create something about that. But no, he's done it for years. That's what he does. He's going on Monday, as a matter of fact, to have another one. And then he looks at it and goes, oh, wow, okay, I'm a little stressed here. Why? Because I'm fearing something. I want to get in touch with that. He's always interpreted everything from even the spiritual into this physical, because that's what he got to. That's why he moved through his life. And although he had all of those horrible things later, at this age, now it's like, oh, it's different. Each of you are doing that. We know it doesn't feel, some of you said, no, that's not happening. It is. It is. You have not felt that way. You felt afraid, but we're saying this because he knows this. Roger knows this. That's why he's dragged you in. And that's why he's been so, how can we say, forceful about this. There was even one person who said, we think that maybe you're not understanding, because we gave him something to say. We didn't understand why people weren't showing up at the events. And then we said to him, how long did it take you before you started paying attention? How long did you answer a call that you saw in front of you? How long did it take you before you started following your intuition? Quite a while. And that's what is happening for each of you now. There's some of you who have something you've been working on. We've talked about this before, and we're going to keep doing it, because you've gotten a little more belief in it. You're feeling a little bit better about it now, but you've created something, and like Roger, you thought, I could not have done this. I could not be the person who created this wonderful thing that's going to make a difference in the world. Yes, you are. Yes, you are. We're saying this because we've gone to so much effort to get each of you to come to understand this. And so when all the drama went on, as you remember, we've spoken of this. Roger said, whatever decision you make about what you're going to do is perfect. It's for your evolutionary journey, which is why we told you in 2012 about your physical body. Doesn't mean anything. Your physical body is what you use to figure out, to develop who you are spiritually. That's what you're doing. And so the fighting that you're seeing going on, and those we talked about it last time, those who were yelling about their freedom, and then we told you, well, where do you think freedom exists? It exists in your thinking. This is why we told you, if you remember, several sessions back, we mentioned Nelson Mandela. See, he got that. He knew that what was happening with his body wasn't that important, so he could be locked away in a prison for years and years and years. because his mind was still doing the work. He was developing things. And he knew that he was going to make a bigger difference in the world if he allowed that to happen. And that was his sacrifice. That was the agreement that he made before he came in. And it changed that world in dramatic ways. And each of you hold the ability to do exactly that, except you have doubted yourselves. And we're going to keep doing this until you believe yourself. That's what's so wonderful about this. It's cooperative agreement that you're each involved in now. There's so many who have felt misguided, misplaced, let's say, that you were out of place wherever you were. That was purposeful. You were supposed to feel that way because, see, in your evolution, in your journey, you have had all these places that you did not feel important. You didn't feel noticed. You didn't feel any of that. So this lifetime, you've decided, I'm going to move through that. I am going to believe in myself. I'm going to start finding my importance. That's why you took all the courses. That's why you've studied. That's why you showed up here. You've done that. Not everyone is doing that. We want you to understand this. And we gave you a long time ago why we're getting to this, because we need each of you to really own who you are and do it in a way that you can give it back to the world that expresses love and light. Because we know a lot of you have been pissed off. And we said, if you go there, then you won't accomplish what you came to do, because it's not about them. It's about you. You are working through all this doubt that you've had about yourself. Some of you, you know, we've said this to you. You have this amazing talent. But like Roger, you think that it could not possibly be coming through you. And it is. You would not have the idea, the feeling, the inclination to do anything unless it was part of your evolutionary journey. Now, what you will do is you'll look at that thing, you'll start going for it, and then you use fear and doubt to get there. And when you get there, you experience love. That's what we told you last time. That's what happens. And you're doing it now. You're doing it now. You get to a place, oh yeah, I think this is right. Then the next day, oh God, I'm depressed. I can't do that. Then the next day you get a little bit more. So you've built a momentum. Now, we did all of this and set it up in this way over all of these weeks so you could see a progression of what was happening so that you would understand you have always been in the right place. We gave you one where we talked about the divine plan of your life, because some of you don't think that that is occurring. And we're saying, yes, it is. And it's unfolding right now, and that's why you're here. And some of you have heard that. Some of you have heard, oh, wow, that's what I've done. That's where my life, that's what's going on. And the fear that so many of you are having right now, as a matter of fact, has been so helpful. We know that sounds crazy, but it's been helpful because we wanted you to acknowledge it. We wanted you to see it, because you can't change anything you don't acknowledge. And that is what is happening in your life. It has happened in your life, and it's happening in your world. You are a reflection. Your world is a reflection of what is within you. Okay. And so there are plenty of those in your world who believe that if they do not examine their past, that magically things will just change and go away. That never works. It doesn't work for you. It doesn't work for your world. You have history so that you can examine it and learn from it and then develop something new. That's what you're doing. And we'll tell you something else, because what is coming, we said that, the vaccine, none of that stuff matters. And you're going to have another fight that's going to come up relatively soon. And that's going to be about a breast cancer vaccine. And it's going to be wonderful to see how you're going to handle that one. So it's going to be the same kind of thing. You're not going to believe it. But again, you need to understand it may not be your thing. It may not be what you were here to do. If you can look at all of that and figure out a way that you can incorporate that into your life and your belief in yourself, and then express it to others in a way that they can maybe gain something, then great. The thing that you've been doing, and we set this up too, Roger had a conversation with a family member who they have different views on certain things. When we gave you the statement the other day, we said you would have certain people, you'll meet certain people. You've met Roger, you've met the other people here who you have certain similar beliefs, but not all of them. You're never going to have similar, all the similar beliefs as everyone else. And so in speaking to this family member, they said, well, I just wish, everyone would understand me, understand why I'm doing this. And we said, no, you are supposed to understand you. See, the problem many of you have had, and so many here, we know who you are. You have been trying to get everyone else to understand you. You needed to understand you, and then you come to acceptance. So we said to this relative, no, we can't understand that. We can't understand you because you've made different choices. You've made those choices because they are a part of your evolutionary journey. I cannot understand why you would make that choice, but I accept it because that's your right. I accept it. But don't ask me to understand it, see, because then I'm going to require you to understand me. And that's been my problem. That's what we're saying to you. See, you've been trying to get them to understand you, but you're not willing to understand yourself and then accept it. That's where you're coming to. You came to the world, you came to this life to become autonomous, to become empowered, so that you can own who you are and give something back to the world so that it continues to evolve. That's what happens. And you're doing that now in a really, really big way. So what you're going to see is that you're going to be given choices. And those choices are going to be things that you will make, decisions that you will make within yourselves. And we gave you a message, and this is in the 2012, we believe. We have to have Roger go back and look at it, but we said yes or no. When you have definitive yes or no's in your life, you know you've gotten to a place where you wanted to get. You've sought that you've trying to get there. When you can answer something yes or no, this is who I am, this is where I'm going. Right now, many of you are confused. And so we're just moving you into this place of belief where you can say, yes, this is why I'm here. This is what I'm going to do. And I'm going to start doing that now because the world needs that to happen so that we can make a shift into this new world that we've all wanted. That's where we are. And each of you is such an integral part of this. So if we could only, we've done what? Actually, we've done quite well. We've seen some of the results because some of you have gone out and actually started doing so many wonderful things. And we've seen that you have started to let go of your judgment, because that was a thing that we told you before. That's this whole portion of your life, this whole period that you're here is to let go of your self-judgment and all that. That's the main thing. Because if you do that, then your world starts to heal. But you have been judging yourselves, because you came in differently. You came in to really offer a contribution. And so it's been a little challenging. That was before. We really want you to understand that the shift that is happening now, it was difficult for you before because none of this has occurred. You've been going through this particular shift for the last couple of years. Well, couple of years. We actually started telling you about it a long time before, but in your physical years, you can think of it as last couple of years that you really started to feel that. And it's still going on, and there's going to be a little bit more, which is why we're going to continue on, because none of you change quickly, and you came to change. You see, you came to change, and none of it is right or wrong. Everyone will go around, and you're going to see this. This is why you have these divisions. This is why you're having fights in your families and everywhere else, because everyone wants to be right. None of you know that. None of you know that. All you know is how you feel. And we want you to trust that. That's your intuition. When you go into there, you'll see this will start to develop. And we're going to work with you because there's more that we're going to do in getting each of you to start to believe in who you are. The whole point of us doing these talks, which was so challenging for Roger, he never wanted to do this, you see. He said, that's just too uncomfortable. It's too embarrassing. I can't do this. Now he can't stop. We're saying that because each of you have been holding back. This is why we gave you Will Smith's skydiving example. Jump in, and now is the time you were meant to do that, each of you. And this is a powerful, powerful time. We told Roger that there's another energy shift that is happening, and we're going to do another session on the 4th, on November 4th, because that's going to be really powerful, and it will be a great time for all of you. And you're going to set in motion what we gave you December 31st, 2012. That's why we did that. So that you could use that data and then put this in place. And as you do that, just like the tree, it will grow if you keep feeding it with your positive thoughts, with your thoughts of your focused thoughts, as we told you, of what you want to create. That's all you got to do is focus on what you want to create. All the other stuff is going to come up. You're going to go through all of that. But when you come back to remembering why you're here, you'll stay focused on what it is that you came to allow in your life. And that's really it. We've given you so many things. We gave Roger so much last night that he's bringing up all of it. We're saying, no, please, we're not doing it all in one day. It's a course. We've given you so much, and it's going to take a bit of time to move through this. Over the past several months, if you've read our messages, we have given you things where we said, okay, we're giving you a bit of it at a time. And we also told you that self-discovery can be frightening. And it's frightening because you've held yourself back so long and you didn't understand it. And it's just like your Halloween coming up or spooky, it starts to scare you. That's what happens. That's what happened with Roger last night. And that's why we wanted him to write the message. We had him do this specifically because we need each of you to break some of your habits. So we had him create his message last night to go out today. And it said, I'm a believer. We want you to hear that. That was the message we gave you today. I'm a believer. And we had him write that last night because it was so shocking to him. And we did that because we wanted to be shocking to each of you. Because we want you to just kind of get a glimmer that, oh, could this be me? Do I really have something in there that's going to be of value and make a difference? Yes. And we're not going to stop until we encourage you, we should say, to let it come through, because now is the time that you are needed. You can't pretend that you do not see what's happening in your world. Some of you have been so locked in your particular country, so you haven't known that what is occurring globally. It's planetary. That's why this feels so big for you. We're saying that your world is shifting into a more equal, let's say a more balanced, which is what we gave you before, a more balanced way of being. But you see, you've done that over the civilizations. And again, if you ever want to just have some fun, just go back and look at that. What's happened is you come in as humans and you interact, like we said, then you create a few diseases, and then some of them kill a whole bunch of people. You've done this so many times. And then you figure out new things. Oh, well, let's fix that. It wasn't ever about the disease. It wasn't ever about any of that. It was about your ingenuity. It was about your developing something that you could do. You created science. We said that before, because some of you have trouble. You only use it in places where you think it seems to work for you. It fits here. Let me use it on my cell phone. But these other things, no, I don't want to do that. I don't want to believe in that. But you have created such magnificent things. You have, and you've done it already. And again, if you were to look at your history, it happens every single time. You go through something really horrible. Sometimes you cause them wars. You've had several huge wars where you thought that if you killed one another, that would make things better. Didn't work. But you learn. And so now you figure, okay, that was a bad idea. Let's do things where we can make sure that we're not going to fight one another, that we're not going to have world wars. But then you just took that and you took it down into a little smaller way, and you made it individual. You made it against your people. You're fighting one another when all you wanted to do was own you. You see, that's all you wanted to do. But we're saying this because it is purposeful. You have to see others. You have to see everything else the way all things exist, so that you can decide who you want to be, because you were born with free will, you say. You were born with free will. to make the choices, which is why we keep bringing up the times that we want none of you to have any judgment, because we know that you're thinking about all the stuff you didn't do, and you haven't accomplished yet. You must let go of that. It has absolutely nothing to do with where you are now. You did all of that stuff so that you could appreciate yourself more, so that you could utilize your gifts to now give that back to the world. That's where you are. And we're going to keep holding your hand until you get there, because we can see the gift, the talent, what you have to offer the world. But as, like Roger, you couldn't see it. You couldn't accept it. But it's a process. That is called the process of evolution. You uncover more, accept more, and then you evolve. That's what's happening. And then you give that back to the world. That's why your world looks the way that it does today. We have so much to give you. There are so many things that were just a little bit, again, a little bit shocking for Roger as he read through these, because how could this be just set aside in this year of 2012? And then we told you about the 2012 phenomenon, which others knew of. And last night, what we did was he had his friend come over with another friend, and they were talking about this. We want you to get this, because you're going to have this experience once you let go. Once you let go. We had them come over, and then we were talking about the 2012. And the two of them said, really, did that happen? And so one of them went and read. I randomly picked one of the messages and read it. I said, oh, wow. I understand that. That makes sense. And then we had Roger read one, and that's when he lost it. You see, as he read it, it brought him to tears. Where did this come from? How could this have come through me? How come I didn't see it? How come I couldn't notice it? Each of you are going to do that. We're just giving you a precursor. See, you're going to do that because that's within you, and we know that for sure. Because there was no one was born without this purpose that they were meant to fulfill and that was going to be valuable. No one. Now, you've made up different ideas about what is value and all of that, and that's what your world is still fighting over. We told you a long time ago, and in some of the other sessions too, we asked you to stop burning down your planet. And now, all of a sudden, there's a great movement. There are a lot of people looking at this, more so than ever, because it's gotten dire at this point. And everything that you're doing right now in this restructuring, and everything you're fighting about, everything you're trying to figure out, comes back to what we said from the very beginning: love, money, power, and control. You each are using those in different ways in your life, but you're doing so that you can evolve spiritually. You've done that forever. Your world has done that forever. But the shift that is happening now is mainly in the control and the power, as we said. And you each have more ability now because the tides have turned in your favor. That's what's happened. The energies of the world have turned in your favor, and you can start to use them now to manifest that dream that you had, that you thought was ridiculous, that you thought didn't mean anything. It does. And we're not going to stop until you until you understand this, because that's what our role is. See, because Roger gave this up. We want you to understand this. You each are moving through previous things that you have done. You not in this lifetime necessarily, could have been somewhere else, but we gave him a couple of points, but a couple of things we gave him, but we also gave you each an example where we said he had a dream. You each had those dreams. He had a dream in 2005 that he wrote down and stuck it in a closet, you see, and thought, maybe if I don't look at it, I won't have to do that. I won't have to fulfill that. Yes, you do. And you each do. And we're so happy that we're going to keep giving you this information that's going to help you get there, because we know who you are. We know what you have. That's why we've been so adamant about getting you here. So we've been yelling at you so much, because it's time. The magnificence that is existing within you. We've made such a difference already, because you can't see it all. That's the problem with you. You can't see what you've manifested already, because you each are rich right now. You each are wealthy. because you've had so many experiences that you can capitalize on and allow that abundance into your life if you got out of your way and stop judging yourself. We're saying that because there are many of you here who have had experiences of the past, as Roger did, that you judged, that you thought were terrible, that you screwed up, you really messed up, and you can't even forgive yourself for that. And you've got to, you have to, because what you learned, what you gained, what you experienced is so valuable and the world needs it now. And you holding it back, as we said last time, is a sin. Whatever else you make up about that, the only sin is you not becoming yourself. Is you not owning every aspect of you. There's no, the judgments that you have are meaningless. They mean nothing. You each are this magnificent spirit. And you came to fill that portion out. And you just use the physical things to do that. That's all. And you're going to figure this out because it's going to come up a bit more in the coming days. As we told you, the most important thing you can ask yourselves is, what is my intention? If you want to see your world in a different place, if you want to see your life, because they're connected, they're the same thing. If you want to see your life in a different place, start asking yourself the question before you do anything: what is my intention? What is my intention? And feel secure with that. As you do that, you're going to see things will begin to change. Because when you question yourself, you're not going to take arbitrary actions that aren't going to be for your highest good. You're just not going to do it because you're going to know what that intention is. But sometimes you're acting arbitrarily because you're in fear. That fight or flight doesn't allow you that moment of reflection. You say, wow, why am I doing this? What do I expect to get from this? You really have to do that. And you will see how quickly things begin to change in your life. We have so much more for you, but what we would rather do now is open it up for questions. We want to make sure, we have no idea how many questions you might have, but there's so much more that we have exposed Roger to last night that we will probably come out during this. So we will allow you to answer questions. Stan is here to help to get people into the room, and I just really want all of that to come through.
Yep, I just wanted to come on and say real quickly to all of the attendees that I am letting you all into the room right now to ask your questions. You can open up your mic, you can turn on your camera if you'd like. So come on in, and if you have any questions, feel free to ask. Or if you are a little bit shy, you can also send me a question in the chat and I will ask it on your behalf.
The reason we did the video the other day, because each of you have this problem, this difficulty, shall we say, that we want you to get over. You're holding back because you've been carrying this unworthiness, this not being important. That's changing now. There are no stupid questions. There's none of it. There's just what are you confused about? What are you troubled by? Maybe we got it all already.
I have noticed that, back to what I was talking about, my history of fractures and falls and breaks started when I was in first grade.
Mm-hmm.
And guess what I was playing? I was playing Follow the Leader.
Mm-hmm.
And I was struck down on the pavement for being in the leadership position.
Mm-hmm.
So I got that message very early. But what I wanted to say was, almost all my injuries, and maybe it's because I'm right-handed, but I think there's more to it because they almost all run down the same meridian on my right side. But I have been practicing more meditation and self-healing, talking to my body as if it's my most beloved. And
You mentioned something that is prevalent. We've given you this before. We've given it to all of you. You're each leaders. And so that experience that you have was pointing out something in your evolutionary journey that was very powerful, in that you have given away your power to others who you thought were supposed to be your leaders, instead of you accepting that role in your life, that you are the leader of your life, which each of you have done to a certain degree. That's why we said we did that video that was uncomfortable for Roger, so that he could just own that bit of it, because you each have something different that you're doing, and those differences are really important. So you've done a wonderful job with that.
Yes, I'm very grateful. Yet I still have this problem. I had a total stranger come up that was watching me dance and say, you do everything. You sing, you dance, you do spoken word and beautiful poetry and photography. And yet sometimes I say, well, there's something I haven't done to, make me this imaginary success,
Everyone, you're each eternal beings. You're never going to be done. You just aren't. That's what we said. You're just doing something this time where you're filling out another aspect of your experience, of your evolutionary journey. And as you do that, you add that information that you've gathered during this life and you give it back to the world. And then your world starts to evolve. You're each doing that, which is absolutely brilliant. Okay.
Yes, I'm tickled too. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I wanted to say so many things resonated today during this session. And one of the things, how Roger's marrying science and philosophy and religion and everything together. For me, I have an engineering background, so I was pretty much all straight science and everything else. But lately, with the influence of Roger, it started opening up to all these other spheres. And this morning, I couldn't sleep till 3:30 this morning. But before I went to bed to try again, I did an oracle card reading, and it just leapt out at me during the session. And what it was is, for the head, it said to leap. You go first and the universe will catch you.
Oh.
Life bends for the courageous. The universe wants to support you, but first you need to leap, to throw your life in the air. And I just got goosebumps.
Yes.
But I just needed to share that because so much is changing for all of us, but it's like a flower blossoming as well, because there's all these spheres happening, which never would have happened except for the challenges we've got coming through the world at the moment.
Thank you so much for this, because you brought up a very good point, because each of you, you're meant to embody and embrace every aspect of who you are. And not all of you are going to experience the same things, of course, because you're doing something different in your evolution. However, you do know that there's certain things that you've stayed away from, that you haven't kind of moved into in this life. And that's what Roger did. What you are seeing is the last thing that he wanted to embrace. We really want you to get that. The last thing that he wanted to embrace, and we told him years ago, we're telling all of you, the thing that you fear the most typically is your gift. Each of you. It's your gift. And that's why it's there, because it's just dangling. See, think about it. You're on this track, you're evolving. Think of it, you're on this, and you're chasing something. And you're chasing that thing you were born with, that idea, that dream, that whatever it might have been. And as you move to it, you do things. And what you're doing is you're letting go of restrictions and doubts, and then you keep evolving. That's what's going on. And as you become willing to do that, you will see a very different world that starts to manifest, which is why we gave you the future in 2012.
One of the things I'm getting is people are being put into our lives for reasons to lead us where we're meant to go. You know, I'm Terry's sister. I also have the, you know, strict Catholic upbringing in science, and there's so much letting go now to embrace other aspects of our being.
Thank you.
Without even rejecting the past.
Yes, yes. It's an evolvement. Yes, that's it. You're moving into new areas of freedom, of acceptance, of all of that. You just had something in your world where your Pope just did something different that none of you have seen yet. But he's changing his ideas about certain things that have been there for centuries. You each are doing that. And you're on the earth now because you knew that this was the time that you wanted to make this big difference. And we need to say that because that's why some of you have found it so challenging, because it's big. But we're telling you, you're doing some great work. You really are. And we just want you to hang in there. And that's why we're going to keep doing this, because we know that as you keep moving, you're helping Roger to move, you see, then you all move. But the other thing is, we've said this before, each of you is building a legacy, and you need to be aware of it. We told Roger a long time ago what we were doing. We even told him his associate Stan is going to be taking it over. We're not doing any illusion here. We know what's happening. We know what we're planning. And we know that if we keep doing it, it's going to make your world better. Not for you to see necessarily, but those who come later, your children, your grandchildren, whoever, that's what's happening now. And if you appreciate that, you will live up to why you're here, each of you, because you've got these great gifts, and we're so thrilled that you are allowing them to come through. And we want to say this. You cannot, because many of you have done this and we feel it so much and we want you to stop. You've been beating yourselves up because you feel like you're not moving and you haven't done it. That's okay. You weren't ready then. That's why we kept telling you all the stories of how many times Roger held back. But then you've hit a particular time, which we believe for most of you is now, where you say, okay, I'm ready to move. I'm ready to do the next thing now. That's where we are. And we are not afraid. We want you to understand this. We need you to understand this. We get how it's difficult for any of you to see this transition that is happening. And so the momentary chaos has got you in fear, but we would advise you to go to our writings and look up chaos. You will see how many times over the decades we have given that information, because we know how unsettling it can be. But it's necessary also, you see, because you don't move unless you have something to motivate you, to inspire you. And this period for all of you is doing a really great job. But we're going to make it light.
Right.
We're going to get you to understand this is what you wanted. You wanted to be here to help usher in this world.
Talking about our children and grandchildren, it's just like there's this unbroken link from our history to the future. Mm-hmm. And we're just one part of it. And whatever we do, no matter how small, is going to actually make a difference. And we just don't know how much. Right. Okay. Well, thank you so much for saying this, because as parents, we're going to speak to parents now, because we took Roger through a process. He understands this now. When he discovered that his family did not do vaccines or any of that because of the way they came in their particular beliefs, and so then, but he did not respond the same as the others, because you're different. You're having different evolutionary journeys, you see. And so then he went through a period where he understood that, wait a minute, if I had had these vaccines, I wouldn't have had all this stuff. I would have had all these other things if I had done that. And then he started to think, well, if my parents had done this for me, we're giving you a whole nother alternative for what's going on out there. We just want you to think about it. It's not opinion, just want you to think about it. But then we said, no, you have nothing to do with that. You came to do something on your own. You just used your parents. They just did what they were doing. That didn't have anything to do with you. This is going to take a while for you to get this, for all of you to get this. We want you to think about it. Your children have their souls.
Your children come in with their souls too. You do the best you can. You give them what you believe from your present moment awareness. You give them what you believe is the best thing. And every parent is doing that. We understand that. However, your kids have souls, and they're going to figure stuff out later. So you didn't do anything wrong if they get screwed up. We told Roger, you're not going to blame your parents. They were doing what they knew what they believed at that time. But that was helpful because now look at what it's done for you. It's opened up a whole new area of study and all that for you. Because of that, we've told you a long time ago that you picked your parents. We have more to, in our subsequent talks, we'll give you more because there's so much more of that. But anyway, but for parents now, again, all you can do is do your best, give your kids what you think is right, and that's perfect. They will figure, and you have to remember they have their souls, and they're figuring out things as well, and you have this agreement to come together. And no, it feels like you're over them most of the time, but no, they have powerful souls. And when you get older, you see that shift. It's so funny when you look at humans and you see how when you get older, how your relationship with your parents shift. You've seen it. You all of a sudden now you're the parent to your parents. How does that happen? You see, but because you each have individual souls, you just come together in this dance together so that you can evolve spiritually. That's the thing we really want you to get from all of this. What you're doing is using all this stuff so that you can evolve spiritually, and that's how the world evolves. And we've told you before, the only thing that stays beyond all of this insanity will be the love and the spirit. If we feel so complete, we feel joyful because we feel that we've gotten through, and we're going to do more. We'll tell you we're going to do more next week because this is an important one. We want you first. This is what we're going to want you each to do, is to think about the future, that particular message, because then we're going to talk about it on the 4th, because now you're going to implant it. Now you're going to start making it. Now you're going to start building it. You're going to plant that tree, and we're going to use the energy of that day to assist you. We thank you so much for being here. We are complete. What those crazy folks say? What happened? Okay. This is going to be fun to hear later. Yeah. Oh, okay. How are you guys? Everyone good?
Your life is a joyride, Roger, except when you get stuck in your head.
Yeah.
You know, running the old tapes.
That's
life has become a joyride.
Absolutely, absolutely. And we're all getting out of our heads. That's what we're doing right now. That's what we're moving through. How long was that? Where we're okay. Oh, wow. Good. This was good. This was great. So I didn't go over. This was a good time. And yeah, I'm going to, I don't know what time the one is on the 4th, but I'll plan it and I'll let everybody know when we send out the replay and all of that. So I'll get it done before that. Yeah, but there's just good stuff coming as we start to understand this there. And they just keep telling me that we're going to see all this other stuff happening, and we're going to remember now. That's what's going to happen. We're going to remember what we're up to. And yeah, this was good.
Yeah. What I wanted to say about chaos is that 2 generations ago, Joanna Macy came up with the book, and I think it's in a PDF now. If you look it up, Chaos or Community, Joanna Macy. You know, it's been in our consciousness now for 2 generations, and it really has become a choice. It's really kind of boiled down. You know, are we going to allow this dysfunction to keep going and wasting so much human potential, so much food because we're greedy, and yet we're still not feeding the world?
That's
you know,
there's so much. Thank you. There's so much that is going to come through. in this other stuff, because that's what was so crazy last night. As I was looking through the messages from 2012, I'm seeing this whole curriculum. I'm seeing a complete curriculum that I didn't know was there, and it's going to be fun to put it together. So great.
So Roger, I'm just curious, what do
Uh-huh.
you do when you throw a tantrum?
How do you mean?
When you get angry, about yourself not seeing, what do you said, or Wilhelm says you get angry, upset.
Oh yeah. I use it. I said, okay, why am I angry? And then I will then say, okay, there's something that I'm not doing. We get angry because we think we can't do something or accomplish or figure it out, or I don't know. I just go in, and whatever the anger is, I use it as fuel. So I'm not going to ever put it out. I'm not going to, that's not helpful, because if I were to put it out in the world, I am then not doing what I know I was here to do. So I use it to examine what is within me that I need to move through. And that's what we're all supposed to, guided to do now. So,
Yeah, 2017, assume the role,
right.
assume the role before you embark on anything. Don't roll the role as you're rolling.
Yeah.
No, before
There'll
you
be so much
disengage.
more. I'll tell you, there's when we get into when we do the other thing, I'm not quite sure how that's coming about, but absolutely everything was covered. I mean, it's just that's why last night I was watching, I go, this doesn't, everything was covered. I mean, it goes into faith, it goes into just all the different titles. I'm just sitting there and looking at each one, and each one could be a full discussion, because it actually, we'll talk about this later, but I would read them, and this is why it took so long, and I would have to think about them for a moment, and then I would figure it out. Oh, that's what they meant. Oh, that's what it meant. And then there's a whole different kind of feeling that comes with that awareness. And so I'm excited about this, because I know everyone will have that happen for them. Everyone will have that kind of come through. So this is going to be fun. Thank you all so much. This was wonderful. And again, I'll send you the information for next week. Great. All right. Thanks all. Have a good one.
On the one.
Great. Thanks. Great to have you here.
Goodbye.